Hey everyone, welcome back to Bros and Shows. I am your host Josiah, aka Mahler67, and with me, as always, I got my buddy, I got my pal, I got my brother Austin. Austin, how you doing today?
I'm doing pretty good. How about
Hey,
you?
doing pretty good. That's good. I'm doing pretty good myself. I can't complain. We doing pretty good. We doing pretty good. Awesome, that's good. That's good to hear, man. I was worried 30 minutes ago for this episode. Because as you know from the last couple weeks, I've had a sciatic nerve pinch in my leg. And it has been doing what it normally does, traveling down the leg, blah 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 blah, doing all that good, beautiful stuff. However, today I was walking and it's been getting, like, the last 2 days it's been in like my knee and like slowly lower. So it's like, okay, it's almost out of my leg type deal thing. Because once it gets past the knees, it basically is good to go. And I laid down in my bed today and I was like, yes, it feels good. And then I lean on one side and for the first time ever, when I like bent my leg, searing pain went through my whole body. Ooh. And I was like, oh, I'm not used to that responding that way. And so I instantly tried to go into like the position that normally like relieves the pain, and it just kept going. And I was like, uh-oh, a new territory. I don't know what to do. And so I like flipped on the other side and went away. And I was like, I'm terrified to turn onto that side, which was basically the field position on the right side, which, you know, my bed, Austin. Oh, yeah. My bed is up against the wall on the right side. So you have to get out on the right side, which means I have to get out on that side. And I was like, uh-oh, I'm fearful. I don't like how this is going. And I ended up falling asleep on the other side, woke up, slowly moved myself over. It felt good the whole way. And then the second I got on the right side, the pain came back and I was like, oh no, I'm lost in my room. But then after like the big searing pain, it like suddenly like dissipated in a weird like feeling. It wasn't like the before where it would like pain and then slowly fade. It was like pain gone. And I was like, okay, that's weird. So I got up. I had no pain whatsoever. It felt almost like it was cured. And I was like, oh, was that like the last yeehaw before it disappeared forever? Sat down in the chair and it's like, remember pain? And so right before, when me and you were just sitting there, I don't know if you were looking at me at all, I was sitting there going, repositioning myself, trying to get that pain to go away while sitting. It has now gone away. But I was really concerned because I'm like, it's going to be during the podcast, I'm just going to be randomly like muting myself and then be like making faces the whole time. But oh man, luckily enough, not an issue, not a problem, and I am good now. So Austin, how's your sciatica?
My sciatica is just fine.
I don't have sciatica.
No.
I am a smart person.
No.
And I don't eat like a trash fool and be bad. That's good, Austin. I am glad that you don't have it, and I don't wish it on people because it sucks. Because I don't know, it's like a sucky thing to have to deal with it, that your body just randomly decides, you know what, you pinch something just by existing.
Yeah.
I was explaining to my friends that I'm like, it's the equivalent of like pinching your funny bone, but then it just deciding, you know what, that joke was so funny, I'm going to continue laughing about it for the next 2 to 3 weeks.
Oh man, yeah. And no, I've had those like when I worked at a factory, I actually pinched my sciatic, and I remember it being in so much pain to a point where like my knees would go up to my chest when I would walk, and I hated it so much. Like, it was so much pain. It was like from the back of my neck all the way down to my legs, and like it would just be like, oh, like that, and a jolt. And it lasted for I think like 2 months. And then I actually went to a chiropractor like a week in, and he was like, hey, I'm not doing anything with you, it's a sciatic. And I was like, really? And he's like, yeah, I go to a doctor. I went to the doctor, and the doctor's like, well, we can give you pain meds, but
He can give you stuff.
It's just going to keep it out of your mind. It's not going to relieve the pain. So he was like, what I would recommend is just rest, lay on your back, lay down as much as you can, and like take ibuprofen, or Tylenol would be better. And I was like, okay. So I started taking Tylenol, and it never worked. And then ibuprofen actually helped it, but it turned into like a month full of like me taking like 3 ibuprofen a day. And I was just like, yeah, I'm not doing that. Like it that's a lot of ibuprofen.
The funny thing is like, I haven't tried ibuprofen on this. I know that there is a difference between like Tylenol, ibuprofen. Like they're different things. They affect the body in different ways. Most people just look at it as like, oh, pain relievers, right? Because I remember like ones like, I don't even know. Like I don't even want to say what they are, because like they like function differently. One's like, oh, this is a nerve issue, and there's some that dampen the nerves. There's others that are like, it's like anti-inflammatory. It like removes the inflammation, which is what's causing the pain in some people. Yeah. And so it's like, oh, okay. You have to know which one it is. You have to know what you have in order to pick the right one, or else it's just going to be non-void. I have Tylenol in the house. I took Tylenol. Ain't doing jack.
Yeah.
And so I'm like, it must not be Tylenol. Or
it could be like 3 other things, because like I remember I took Tylenol, it didn't work. I took naproxen, which is Aleve, and that didn't work either. But then I took ibuprofen, and it worked. And then there was one time where I didn't have my ibuprofen, so I took Advil, and Advil worked. But Advil's like one of the worst out of all those.
Yeah.
It's like one of the worst, to keep consuming it. But like, I usually just take ibuprofen. I'll take like 2 with my sciatic, because I have that problem from time to time. It's just a thing that I deal with. Like I might bend some. I remember one time I actually pinched my sciatic when I picked up a shirt off the floor. Like I just reached down real quick and I picked up a shirt. And when I did, I was like, oh. And I remember for like a good, I'd have to say a week, I had that problem. But then I was like, oh, well, this is just a sciatic. I will just do that. Ice does work too. That's a perfect thing too. Or was it BioFreeze is really good, but it also smells. Like that's the only problem I have with BioFreeze. It does eliminate the pain, but the smell is atrocious. It smells like menthol.
Yeah.
Well, it's like icy hot.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah. It's rough arena. It's rough arena. And that's one of the things, like I'm over here thinking like, maybe I should get some and just like it on there. It will be fantastic. But it's going away. That's all I care about. I'll get to sleep on it again tonight, and hopefully that like reduces it even more. Basically every day I've been sleeping, it's going like farther and farther away. And I'm like, only. It's one of those times I wish I had some CBD still, because then I would just take some and I'm like, maybe that could help me, because like I know that like small traces of CBD will remove like such thing. But the CBD I have has expired because I tasted it and I was like, ugh. Nope, that's bad. I haven't gotten new ones in a while because I wasn't using it efficient, like constantly. Since I got a better job and wasn't like hating my life. So it's like, yeah.
It's kind of like how like what I've been going through lately. Like ever since the traumatic thing that happened in me and my wife's life, I actually kind of let go. Like I kind of like started eating more, and I was like eating unhealthy, and I wasn't getting good sleep at all. Like I stopped taking all my vitamins that I take, and like I stopped working out, and I was just like, I can't deal with this right now. And depression is that, like that's depression. But I actually, like in the last 4 days, it's been 4 days. I decided, like, I just was like, I remember, this is pretty funny. You guys can laugh at this, it's okay. I remember the exact moment when I realized I need to stop what I'm doing and start eating healthy again, because I'm not feeling good. And what that was I was in my room, in my bed, and I had a huge glass of milk, like vitamin D milk, and I had a box of vanilla wafers. And I love vanilla wafers. Like I'll just like scarf them down and drink the milk with them. They're kind of like how people like Oreos with milk.
Yeah.
And I was eating a whole bunch of it, and my wife woke up and she's like, "Can you turn on the TV?" And she's like, "What are you doing?" I was like, "I'm eating vanilla wafers." She's like, "How many boxes have you ate? Because you just bought that box." And I was like, "Well, I bought a box yesterday and I ate those, and I bought this box, and now I'm almost done with this." And she's like, okay, that's not good. And I was watching wrestling because I've been going back and watching old school wrestling stuff. But then I realized, I was like, man, maybe she's right. Like I'm not feeling too good. So I stopped. I'm eating healthy again. Like I'm only having 3 meals, and like the snacks I'm having are healthy snacks. And I started taking my vitamins again. And I realized that there was a vitamin that really helped me sleep. And that was magnesium. Magnesium like puts you in like a really deep sleep. It doesn't like make you go to sleep. You just have to have it in your body. But ever since I started retaking it, I slept for like 6 hours last night, and I woke up today and I was like, I have felt so much better since the last like 3 days. Like this is the best like energy I've had. Like I want to go do stuff. I want to like, clean up around the house and stuff like that. So, I've been really getting back on that. And then, I'm kind of trying to be a little bit more healthy because this weekend I am leaving for Florida.
Oh yeah.
Yeah. Saturday we leave at 5 o'clock in the morning.
Oh dang.
To Disney World or Magic Kingdom, and then we'll be back Sunday around like, I think 4 o'clock. Yeah, 4 o'clock in the afternoon. So yeah, it's, and you've been to Disney, you've been there before, so you know how much walking's involved in that, especially the Magic Kingdom because it has the most rides. But it's just, oh my gosh, it's a lot of walking, especially it's super hot, super hot.
Sorry, my brain's not listening like properly. Disneyland, right? You're going to
World.
Okay, World. Okay.
Mm-hmm.
Okay. Again, I had to in my brain go Disneyland in order to figure out which one was the California one.
Yeah. That's Disneyland. Disney World.
Disneyland's in California. Yeah, you're going to the one we went to. Okay.
Yeah.
That all makes sense now. Everything makes sense in my brain now. Because when like you were talking, saying stuff, I'm like, wait, are you saying you're going back down there? Because I know your wife is like a traveling consultant for it.
Yeah.
And that all makes sense. But I'm like, well, what stops her from being Disney World traveling consultant at the same time? Like my brain just started traveling all over the place. And that's why I'm like, okay, I have to stop and ask him again, because until this is resolved, my brain is not going to connect the stuff. So, okay. Sounds, hey man. That's
okay
to do it.
I'm gonna do this real quick. Nature calls real quick. I have to go because I drank a whole bunch of coffee and water, and I'll be right back. You do whatever you need to do. Oh, my chair's locked too.
What a time to do. Go ahead and go,
right?
Man.
I have to go, man.
What time to do it, man? We haven't even started talking about the show.
I know, right? Just talk about the sciatic,
I don't want to talk about my sciatic.
Or Walter.
I'm going to talk about Sea of Stars. Go on. Go quickly.
All right, there you
I'll
go.
Be quick on it. I'll be quick on it. All right. So, hey, all. Welcome to Josiah Talks About a game that he's been playing because Austin left before the podcast, before we started talking about the episode, so I can't talk about Steven Universe. I mean, we could talk a little bit about Steven Universe, but real quickly, I just want to promote a game that I was really excited for and I got to play called Sea of Thieves. Is out now on Steam, Nintendo, and I think everywhere else. It is a indie JRPG game. Fantastic. It is fantastic. If you're a fan of like Chrono Trigger, Chrono Cross, Secret of Mana, like those classical 8-bit or 32-bit SNES style games, it's fantastic. It's a quick buy. It's only like $30, maybe even cheaper. I think it's on sale right now because they put it on sale when it first came out. It is the definition of a passion project. The turn-based style, the second you look at it, you're going to instantly acknowledge, okay, Chrono Trigger was a big part of this game's development, and that's 100% true. The battle itself, like I'll just say this, when you attack, there's time button mechanics to like do extra damage or time button mechanics to take less damage. and each weapon has like additional stuff. It's just a really great, enjoyable game. I got Austin into it. Austin was playing it right before we came on stream, and I just highly recommend it. The one of the reasons why I did want to bring up is there's this place in the game, because it was crowdfunded. Over like $1 million some dollars was crowdfunded for it, where everyone who backed was able to put a monument, like a little gravestone for whatever they want in it. And depending on your tier that you paid, it becomes like that. Like the base tier was just a regular gravestone, and then the second tier was like a little picture or a little guy, and then the highest grades you got a full-on custom-made sprite art for it. And the one thing that kind of hit me emotionally about the game, and I will admit, like there's multiple emotional stuff. Can you get it for the handheld game that you have? Yes, you can get it on Switch. And in fact, actually, Mama Burkhart, since you're here in chat and since you are the mama of the Burkhart boys, I have a Steam Deck now. I'm probably never going to play the Switch again. If you want the Switch, next time I come home, I'll give it to you. It's yours. Happy being my mother and getting my games that I won't play anymore. You can get it, and then you can play it, and you can have access to that. And then like when the kids come over, you'll have it. Cool. But there's monuments in the game where there's like this crypt thing, and it has over like millions of people who donated to the game, and they have these special things. And just going through the crypt and reading different people's like monuments to things, it cracked me. Like I just was not able to. I just like started like tearing up and bawling, because the one thing I learned is that of all the people in the crowdfunding, most people, when they were given the option to immortalize someone, chose to immortalize like friends, families, and loved ones instead. One of the top ones, like if you go to the very middle one and you go into it, it's a picture of this girl with an elephant, and it says like, you always brought us with the most joy and love, and we love you. From your parents to you, you brought us so much joy. And it's like dedicated to their child, and I assume something happened to the child, or they just wanted to immortalize their love of their child into the game. And it broke me. I just started tearing up. Like I started crying because I'm like, that's so messed. Like I can't do it. And then just reading through there's like one of the statue was like of a dog, and it's just like the best hero that a person could ask for. We miss you, buddy. I hope to see you again. And I'm just like, I can't do this. This is literally just a crowdfunding thing, and it's like tearing me apart. Oh, I'm even getting teared up just thinking about it, because it legitly like, oh. And then they have like a hidden thing in the crypt as well that you have to work for. But I 100% of that game. It was worth it. 110%. Anyways, Austin, now that you're back, we can talk and finally get started on the podcast about Steven Universe Season 4. I ended up talking about Sea of Thieves. Sea of Stars. Sea of Thieves.
Yeah, I'm actually playing through that right now. You actually recommended it, so I'm actually enjoying it.
I mentioned that I got you onto it, and so... But Austin, we can talk about it. So Austin, what did you think of Steven Universe Season 4?
You did this to me. I'm gonna say this. You did this to me.
You say I did this to you?
You did this to me.
No, Rebecca Sugar did this to us. I can't watch any, like, I want you to understand this, man. After Adventure Time and after Steven Universe, I have 100% perceived, understood, and know that any show, HBO, Cartoon Network, to Disney Channel, any show can have this like deep, hard storytelling like power, right? And Steven Universe was the first show that showed me like kids shows can do this. In fact, they may have some of the best storytelling you know. And then that's what got me down the rabbit hole. Like it was after Steven Universe I went into like Gravity Falls, and I went into Adventure Time itself. It opened my eyes to the world of animation. I've been saying it since we began the podcast. I feel animation is some of the best ways to tell a story because it allows you to do things that you couldn't do in real life. And it's one of the reasons why Steven Universe is one of the reasons why I feel this way.
Yeah.
But anyways, also, I didn't mean to cut you off. Go on. What did I do to you?
Man, this season was wrecked me a little bit. Like it just like wrecked me. There was a lot of stuff that was revealed this season.
Yeah.
And there was some episodes that just, whew, man, it's just some of those episodes really got to me. Like, you know, usually like with like the first season, like I was just watching it, and then like it was background mostly, and then it hooked me like after season like 2, and then I was like, all right, we're getting into the good stuff. And
you're getting into actual story and like character arc. Yeah.
And this is a season where it's heavy character arc, and we get to see like a lot of different background. And what I like about this season so much is you're getting to know Steven the most. Because Steven doesn't really know who he is. Yeah. He just knows who, you know, he was. Kind of deal, like where he's like his mom in a way, in some type of form. And there is some episodes where I had to stop and just like sit there, and I was like, "Whoo, what did I just watch?" You know, I had to kind of like soak all of it in, and you know, it didn't start until one episode. One episode started like in this spiral of like me trying to, you know, not trying to show certain emotions because it just wrecked me. Seriously, like, you know, one of the episodes that I think the first episode that got me was Steven's dream episode, where he started having dreams of Blue Diamond's visions. Yep. That episode was rough. I was like, dang, dude, like, but I also have theories. I have theories on things now.
Oh yeah. 100%. You can't watch Steven Universe without getting like those fan theories, you know?
Yeah. You know, and I did like this season with Onion. The Onion episode was actually fun. It was not creepy and weird. It was still a little creepy.
There was a creepy part whenever like they do the race with the bugs, and then they like start chanting, and they give him the bug and a hammer, and they're just like squish, squish, squish. Like they're not saying it, but they're like tapping like to squish it. And he's just like, I won't do it. He won.
Yeah, there was some really good episodes. Episode 10 though wrecked me. But also episode 5 was pretty good too, and that's the future voyage Zoltron.
Oh yeah, the future.
Yeah, because the guy shows up and he's like, I just wanted him to tell me, you know, like my old act, that it was like, you know, we always wanted it. And I was like, that's cool. And then my girl Pearl got a number.
She got a number, all right.
She got a number.
Which
she's in
real quickly, girls. I want to talk about that episode.
Yeah.
Because that episode introduced me to one of my favorite musical artists. Mike Kroll is a real artist. I found him out through Steven Universe. Because one of the issues I always have with music is that I have a very distinct style of music I like. And I never find someone who kind of shares that style. And the style I used to ask people, like, do you know any bands that's like this? I used to say, like, you know, Sex Bomb from Scott Pilgrim. You know, where it's kind of like garage like grunge with like synth music or in some way. And people would be like, oh, man, like if you like garage grunge, you should look up Nirvana or something like that. And it's like, that's not the style I like. It's weird. And the worst part is like if you look up garage grunge, that is what you find with it. Is you find like Nirvana and those things.
Usually like people would say that, like, but to me it's a different thing. Like if you would ask me that, the first thing that does come to my mind is not Nirvana. It's Beck. I don't know if you've ever heard of Beck.
Know Beck. No.
Actually, you have. Remember the Futurama episode where Bender gets
broke? Yeah, and he has the little harmonica. Yeah, okay.
Because Beck did. Actually, Beck was one of my favorite artists of all time in the '90s, and he actually did a song on the Scott Pilgrim soundtrack. That's right. He did Ramona, actually.
Oh, that's
Ramona
who.
song.
That's okay.
That's
I know
Beck.
that song. Yeah.
Yeah. So like,
I mean, that's okay. That's not exactly what I'm looking for at all.
but yeah, but if you
I'm
said
talking
something like
more
that,
like
I
the
would say
band
Beck.
itself. But
Yeah.
like, anyways, it was in this the show I was watching, and they're like, oh, we're going to a concert. We're going to Mike Crawl. He's really like garage. Like he sounds great like the garage sound. And I just remember watching and be like, garage sound. And he's in this episode, and I saw on Twitter like Rebecca Sugar like quote a tweet from him saying like, yeah, I was a big fan of Mike Crawl. I saw him live a couple times, and I really wanted his music to be like shared. I really wanted it to be. So she asked him to come in and like add some music to the show, and they did so. And whenever I saw that, I was like, okay, let's check this guy out. He was exactly the type of sound I wanted. Where it like the two key things that I always thought about was like instrument wise, like they're like kind of thrashing or having good times. Two, the microphone sounds like an old like 60 mic where it's like and then like in the background you hear like extra noise. Like I kind of think of like a Motion City soundtrack kind of where like in some of their songs you'll hear like the keyboard adding like music in the like extra beat stuff in the background, or like even like Smash Mouth, I hate to say, with yeah, R.I.P. man, where like there was like the different tones or whatever that would be playing during some of their songs, and Mike Kroll does all that stuff. And I was like, yo, this is exactly the style I was looking for. But at the time, the dude only had one album. He had one album and a couple like singles. And I was so sad. And rewatching that episode, I went, Mike Crawl, that's who I don't have on my my playlist on YouTube. And so I just downloaded this whole thing, and he has like 40 songs now. And I was like, yes! Nothing that makes me more happier is whenever you remember about artists you really like, and then they have new songs that you can enjoy. Like it legitimately made me happy. I remember the first time I like was like, oh, I'm going to put all the Motion City soundtrack on. Oh yeah, I forgot there's their whole one album I've never listened to. So it's like it's a brand new album of Motion City soundtrack. But no, that episode is whenever I got introduced to it. Plus, it also kind of like solidified the concept and the idea that Pearl has a type. And it's also one of the things that like people are like, okay, at this point in season 4, it was kind of like brought on earlier, but in season 4, everyone identified like, yes, there is LGBT representation through the gems. Before, the thing that made people like kind of question it was the idea of like the fusion between the gems that are predominant, like are all female, is like an LGBTQ thing. Which some people like would fight and say like, well, that's not true because of this and that. This season was the first season where we actually saw like, no, identify wise, a lot of these individuals in this show are open to such things. Like you see Pearl with the woman, and it's like, okay, you can't deny that, because it would be wrong in the same way of you saying like, oh, Steven Connie isn't a representation of that. But there's so many of those relationships. It's like, it's awesome, fantastic. I'm completely down for it. And it also is like super adorable in my head whenever Pearl is driving and they tell her, it's like, okay, look now, and then she looks over, and then the big woman turns and looks at her and gives her a little like smile, and the look on Pearl's face and how her like her blush is like the blue blush instead of the normal like pink. It made like it's just, I don't know, it's wholesome and crap. You gotta love it. And so yeah, this was the season that it's kind of like set in stone, like, okay, it's this. And it's also one of the reasons why people also believe Steven Universe got kind of short-ended in the show. And after around this season, they started slowing down on airing of Steven Universe. Like they started doing it because there was backlash to the LGBTQ representation in Steven Universe. And I think it ultimately culminated down to a single episode that did not come out this season. I think it comes out next season. No, what am I saying? No, it did not come out this season. It comes out next season. And I remember when that episode came out, there was uproar all over the place. and I think you'll know whenever that episode comes. You'll probably figure. But oh boy.
So what's really funny is I did not know. I actually looked up Nick Kroll.
Mike Kroll, yeah.
Yeah, Mike Kroll. I looked him up after I heard that because I was like, he sounds like a band that I know. Mm-hmm. And I thought it was them that was doing it, but then I was like, oh, wait, it's that. And the only reason I looked it up is because, on my phone, when music plays, I have a Google Pixel. So when music plays at the bottom of my phone, it will tell me who the artist is. Like, it will automatically just search it. And I looked down to be like, oh, I remember I was like doing an overnight at work and I was watching this episode. And I looked down and I looked at it and I was like, oh, that's not who I thought it was. I thought it was a band. I don't know if you ever heard of Arcade Fire.
I've heard of them, never listened to them.
Arcade Fire is kind of like the same thing, like but it doesn't have that muffle sound. It's more of like the same jam. I found out about Arcade Fire because of Vampire Weekend. I liked Vampire Weekend, which is like I don't know. They're kind of like a British invasion band, but it's like this modern take. Because they also played with Cage the Elephant. I don't know if you've ever.
I've heard of Cage the Elephant. Yeah.
Yeah. So like, me and my buddy Yugi used to love that kind of music. So like, that's when I heard that I was like, "Is that Arcade Fire?" And then I was like, "Oh no, it's some guy named Mike Roll." But yeah, so past all Mike Roll. Yeah, that episode was great. The Onion episode was still creepy but fun. There is one episode I really didn't care too much for. And that was the episode where the gems actually steal Steven when he's a baby. It kind of made me cringe a lot. It made me cringe a lot.
You know what's funny?
Mm-hmm.
That episode caused so much stir in the Steven Universe community. And you know why?
Mm-mm.
It's not because of the cringe or anything. It's because of a single point in the episode that people were like, that almost got really dark really quickly.
Yeah, because they were gonna kill it.
When Pearl was like reaching for the gem, and you just like the like the music kind of goes dim, like it goes like weird omni silent, and you see it's just like Pearl in her like love
trance.
Love of her. If she plucked that, like that would kill Steven. Like it was a legitly thing where people were like, holy crap, Pearl was going to kill Steven right there. Garnet didn't say nothing. Like,
yeah, that episode made me feel uncomfortable.
Oh yeah,
and that's why I hate that episode.
That made people like question Pearl. Like they're like, we know Pearl's better now, right? But that's like, because like up to that point, and even up to like the current season, you definitely got this concept that Pearl didn't care for humans. Like she didn't care about it. Like whenever before like Rose and Greg got together, she's just like, you're just a face. She just thinks you're like cute and adorable. Like you guys die and everything. Like it sucks to be you. And it's like she 100% was like whatever. And people were like, she would kill humans if it meant getting Rose back. And it's like, I remember watching that and just being like, that stirred something. It's like the guttural feeling where you know like a helpless person's in need and you're like, we need to stop it. Everyone I watched it with had the same reaction. Like that made me feel uncomfortable in the pit of my stomach seeing that.
Yeah. And another episode that was kind of filler episode to me was the Ronaldo episode where he thinks that he's gonna it's a filler. Like I felt
it's,
like that.
Again,
that was really the only one.
That's the thing. Like whenever you get farther up in the seasons, when the filler episodes come, you can tell. The only issue is that a lot of the filler episodes still like progress something in some way. So like you could sit there and say it's a filler episode, but in the same way, it's like, well, you know, Steven has this insecurity or has this issue, or like, you know, Steven meets this person or that person, and you have to see it in order to do it. And so it's like, is it a filler episode? By all means, probably. Does it still give you something that is important to the story? Yes. Is it 100% necessary? That's the question.
Yeah, there was two that were that way.
Yeah.
And they were back to back, actually. But I enjoyed the other one better because it did bring back one of my favorite episodes. You got
your little wrestling again.
Yeah. Tiger Millionaire. Now Tiger the Lane for this. I laughed so hard. And the thing is like, what's really funny is Lars as a character is exactly the pinpoint person that I went to school with, multiple people that were like that love wrestling. Like they looked exactly like that. Oh yeah, I love wrestling. And I was like, you love wrestling? Really? You know, like, what's really funny is like we were just talking to, you know, like before this about how like I've been rewatching stuff, and like it's weird that I don't know why. I think I know the reason why I started watching old wrestling lately is because of the first episode on the first season, because I remember like being a child and just being in this awe that like, you know, these guys, these grown men would get in the ring and they'd beat up each other and they had personas and these storylines and how stupid it was. And then you go back as an adult and you're like, yeah, that you can clearly tell when things are really fake. And you're like, that's fake, that's set up, that's fake. But what's fun about it, and I still watch it, is because just some of the ridiculous that can happen. And I always look for the things that are mistakes, you know?
I tell people all the time, because like my one roommate's a big fan of wrestling. And I'm like, guys, wrestling is just soap for men.
It's a soap opera for men.
It's a soap opera, like all of it. Because like none of the stuff's true. Like their beef with each other is not true, because if they had the true beef, they get fired for doing the stuff that they do. And like the thing is like it's so like people are so in depth with that, like in how Lars is, like he's so in depth with like storylines that like I didn't know this until I started researching, but there's different phases of like certain eras. Like I knew about Attitude Era, but I didn't know Ruthless Aggression Era, Babyface Era, like stuff like that. I didn't know that. So like it's interesting to see like when things change, like you're like, hey, you know, because I flipped on one time to like a newer part of wrestling and I was like, why is this going on? Like why isn't there any bleeding anymore? Why isn't there no hardcore matches anymore? And you're like, oh, it's because of the TV rating for kids. And you're like, oh, wait, what? And then you come to find out that like some of the things that they did in the Attitude Era was like this huge like craziness. Oh yeah.
But I liked Lars' character because it reminded me of how I felt when I was a child, where I was like, yeah, get him, dude, you know, like stuff like that. You know, Stone Cold Steve Austin will always be my favorite wrestler because he shares a name. Yeah, and the thing is, it's like he's not my, you know, he's not like the wrestler I'll watch for entertainment anymore, because I'm like, oh, he's gonna come out and do that. Now I'm actually more interested in like the no names that like didn't go anywhere, and then I look up like their story of like what happened to them, and I'm like, wow. And then I look at like things that were not supposed to happen, that like, you know, that caused a lot of problems, but like people loved it, you know. And there was one incident where it was like Shane McMahon and like Kurt Angle, and he was supposed to through some glass, but the glass got changed like an hour before the pay-per-view happened because the sugar glass was breaking on entrances. So they put plexiglass in, and that is real glass he's being thrown through, and he's actually bleeding. He almost died, and I was like, wow, that's crazy. I remember watching that. But past all the wrestling bullcrap. So back to Steven Universe. So I want to talk about like some of these episodes that got me. So episode 10, Steven's Dream, we find out that like Blue Diamond, we get to see Blue Diamond for the first time.
Yep.
And Blue Diamond is this emotional wreck. Like she was like kind of Pearl in a way with like Blue Diamond, where she kind of like, you know, like, cause like it was interesting because watching Steven, like he was like dreaming and he was like crying. And they ended up going, what was it, to Korea? I think it was Korea.
I think it's Korea. Yeah, it's Korea.
Yeah, where they find like her spaceship or whatever, and it's been destroyed. But
the Pelican. You know what a Pelican is, right?
Yeah, it's like a like a ship almost.
No. Like a Pelican, like the actual terminology of a Pelican in our world. A Pelican is the thing that like people would carry the ruler on.
Oh, okay.
So like
yeah,
in
yeah,
like
yeah.
Egypt, you have like the people underneath them holding up, and it would just
Yeah.
be a seat that they carry. That's a palanquin, and
Oh,
that's
okay.
what this is. It's a seat for the diamonds to sit on that
Mm,
self carries itself
yeah.
for them to sit on. That's what the palanquin is.
Mm.
Yeah, no. Furthermore, this is a pink palanquin too, which
Yes.
further stretches. Here's the thing, right? This. Never
That,
mind. I'm not going to say something. I'm not going to say something.
that and like I have a lot of theories on like what's going to happen because this episode and then the gem heist episode
Yeah.
are very key points of me starting to question things because for one we get to see other pearls in action, other amethysts in action, and how the diamonds are set up.
Yeah.
And it kind of questions the question. I have a huge conspiracy here. Like I have a theory here, and it's weird, but this is the question I beg.
Okay.
Is so what I've been told by Pink Diamond, or like how she was shattered. Rose Court did this.
Yeah.
She shattered Pink Diamond.
Yeah.
But here's the problem I have is pearls and their guards. How could they let that happen though? Because they are like one of the high security people. Because like in that gem heist episode, it shows that like how hard it is to get close to a diamond. Like what was
You're asking the exact question people were asking.
Yeah,
because
like
we also found out that rose quartz, right?
Mm-hmm.
They're bubbling all the rose quartz.
Mm-hmm.
In the garden or what was it? What was that place called? Her zoo on Pink Diamond Zoo. The room of that Pink Diamond used to be in has all these bubbled rose quartz because that's the issue, right?
Mm-hmm.
It's not. All they know is that the person who shattered Pink was a rose quartz. They don't know which rose quartz. So they've just been bubbling and imprisoning these people the whole time to try and figure out which one's the real rose quartz. And it's like that adds a different level of issue. The one thing I always bring up, and like we start seeing the first signs of it with like Steven whenever he's in the room with his mom, or whenever he's with like the room's projection of his mom.
Yeah.
And he says, he's like, you like all your problems are my problems now. Like I'm being like, you left everyone a wreck, and now I have to pick up the pieces that you've destroyed, and I'm being like attacked and hurt, and everyone's being attacked because of what you did.
Yeah.
And it's like, it's not even just their friends. It's also people they've never met before. Like all rose quartz are apparently being like hunted and bubbled. And so it's like, it's like the dark repercussions of like people's actions, how it stretches farther than what they probably because I assume Rose did not think of the repercussions of her shattering the diamond would also lead to all rose quartz being hunted that way.
That, and the other theory that I have too is I think that so here's the problem that I have is most of the people that we see from Homeworld that ever show up from Homeworld, they do not like Homeworld really in reality. And in reality, I think that maybe we might be seeing like, here's the thing. It's normal storytelling to have this. I have no clue what's going to happen. But Homelander. No, Homeworld kind of reminds me of like a Star Trek episode. Like take for instance the Krill. Wow, that's Orville. But yeah, speaking of Orville, the Krill. There's always like, even in like those societies that are like happy or they're like kind of like dictatorships. There's rebellion. Like there's people that rebel, and I think that next season we're going to see gems that are actually kind of like gems on like how Amethyst was. Like I really think that because how they said is like she cooked too long, and I was like, so that would happen at Homeworld too, probably. What do they do with those?
The funny thing is that we have some of that concept through talking with like different of the people. Like Peridot has limb enhancers, right, to make her taller.
Yeah.
Obviously, in the gem society, the bigger you are, the more important you are. But that's not exactly true, because we see at the end here with what's her face, baby. What's the little fairy girl's name?
Oh, I only remember Topaz.
Yeah, everyone remembers Topaz. Topaz was great because that was the introduction of a canonical method of fusion that no one thought of. I remember watching it, and then like it's just these two guys, they run up, grab you, and then fuse together, and then lock you in like this miniature prison. And I remember sitting there with like my friend at the time, just being like, "Yo, didn't think about that for fusion. Actually, that's a really crazy method for like capturing people, is to just basically self-fuse with them." But then it also adds like some issues, like you can't do that to a gem because you just actually fuse with the gem. But apparently, regular gems cannot fuse with humans, so only Steven can fuse with humans. It was legitly a situation that I was so surprised by. Yeah, I'm sorry. I'm like Aquamarine. That's her name. Aquamarine.
Yeah, Aquamarine.
Is
I was trying to look it up. Yeah.
Yeah, I was looking it up too. That's why I was like kind of like buying time at that time. But we see like Aquamarine is like this. She's like the investigator or whatever with her and Topaz. Topaz is much bigger than her, so it's like it's not the size exactly. But we also heard from like Peridot. Peridot is a new era gem. That is what she said, right? And apparently, the reason why the newer gems are smaller than the previous gems is because they're running out of resources. And so the new gems that are being created don't have the same amount of resources to make themselves. And thus, it's becoming more of an issue. Like, that's how Peridot basically explained why she's so small. And basically also about Amethyst. Because Amethyst is the last of the gems to be made on Earth, and thus she's small.
And there's also another thing that kind of like, I don't know, this might be out here, but there's the show's like just great with theory, and like that's what I like. One of the things I like is I like to investigate.
Yeah.
You know? So
that's what this show did for me. Like I was nonstop, like I was conspiracy theory hat on the whole time.
There is one character in the show that I have, it's suspicious, too suspicious, and it's right in front of our eyes, and I've been looking at it, and I actually been looking up, I haven't like spoiled anything for myself, but the thing is like I've been watching other episodes with this character in to be like, something's different, like something has to give, because there's an episode when Steven in like season 2 where he finds the sword in Lion.
Oh yeah.
There's a chest in a tree, and there's a whole bunch of other stuff. In this season, there's an episode where she takes him to this weird place that has a key.
He finds a key in Lion's Mane.
Nova, which is like supposed to be like his. He was if he was a girl, he'd be named Nova. If he was a boy,
Nora, I believe. I thought it was Nora. It may have been Nova. I'm pretty sure it's Nora.
Oh.
But I could be wrong.
Whatever. I thought it was Nova. But I'm very suspicious of Lion. And the reasoning why is because I think I might have it down of who Lion really is. But I don't know, like, I kind of know some things that Lion...
No, it is Nora. Nora was going to be Steven's name before they knew that it was a boy. Actually, I don't think they ever knew it was a boy. It just whenever he was created, they're like, oh, it's a boy.
Yeah, so I actually am very suspicious of Lion because I think I might know something about Lion. So one of the things I want to bring up is Lion, he does the portal thing. Yeah. But everyone doesn't question the one thing that I see every episode he's in is his color of his skin.
Oh yeah.
It's court rose, and I'm thinking that I don't know. This is kind of weird because like
no, go ahead. Austin,
I'm not
you're going to probably say a theory that was a theory being thrown around at the time. There was no theory that was left undone during Steven Universe's run. There were so many conspiracy theories.
Well, so the only thing that really bothers me is everything that Rose loved or cared about was in Lion so far. Yep. Like her sword, this key, what was it? The one gem,
Bismuth.
Bismuth, and also that chest in the tree. And Steven, I really, okay, crazy thought. I think Lion is actually a person. Okay. I don't think that he's just a lion. I think that maybe he's a person and she did something to him that made him this way. And I think that Steven's going to find out, and he's going to, don't get me wrong, I think he might do it himself. I think he might have something that will make, I don't know. I just feel like there's this thing where I think this is like a vault. This is like a vault that she puts stuff in, and I think he's gonna make a vault to put stuff in.
Did you not make the connection from the earlier episode? You did not.
No, I didn't.
That's fine. That's fine. I made the connection instantly because I had months, like weeks, to process each thing. What you're saying here, Austin, 100% was a theory. People are like, there's something special about Lion.
Well,
because you know why?
I think I might know.
Okay.
The character that might actually be the next Lion.
Okay.
Because I've been thinking about it really hard.
What do you mean by next Lion?
I think that someone is. I think Steven's gonna get his own like lion. I don't know if it's an animal or whatever, but it's gonna be something like that, where he has like his own vault. But it has to be a living. It has to be a living being to make this happen. I think. I don't know. This is like this crazy theory I have.
Okay. I mean that's interesting that you have that perspective, because the issue that arises with it, right, is we know for a fact that all gems have a vault.
Yes.
It's their gem itself. Like we see whenever like all of them pull out their weapon, it's coming from their gem.
Yes.
And we have seen like Pearl put multiple things into her gem and then take them out. Lion is just special that they have like a weird universe thing inside of them, which you're not wrong on.
Yeah. I feel like maybe that, I don't know. I feel like there's going to be something where there's going to be, because the thing is there's no other lion that's shown in any of the other seasons. Like,
that's not true, Austin. You didn't make the connection. In the episode where they went to the library, do you remember that episode? Right?
Yes.
Yeah. Do you remember where they were whenever, or what was going on whenever the Dewey person sees Rose Quartz?
No, I don't remember.
In the episode Garnet tells him multiple places that he should go and look up that are like gem-based related. And he went to each. And when he went to the desert area to look for the ever-changing place, he almost dies until Rose Quartz finds him. And whenever he finds her, she is surrounded by what? Her 7 lions.
Okay.
Now, here's the other thing about the lions.
Okay.
There's one special lion. Because do you know the defining feature of lion outside of just like the pinkness? Because Steven makes the joke about it in season 1. He has a heart-shaped nose.
Yeah.
In that picture that you watch, there's one lion with her that has a heart-shaped nose. And people are like, that's Lion, before he becomes whatever he is now. Either if it's because Rose Quartz dies, whenever she like poofed or whatever, he got like some residual effects, became like this super lion, or if there's something more to him, we don't know.
I think,
but people made the look and the connection. They're like, that's Lion.
Yeah, because it's an organic being, and I actually believe that. Okay, wait. I do remember the lion thing now. I do remember that talking about that, but now I have a different theory that I think maybe I know what happens to lion that makes lion that way.
Mm-hmm.
Because the thing is like the only thing that would make sense to me is like one, she does some type of magic on him, or two, the things that we've seen already in Steven, which what I'm gonna say is his spit, his healing spit.
Oh yeah, his healing spit.
I feel maybe that there was an I'm trying to think of the show that I was watching before, because now I think that maybe Lion is dead, and this is like the soul of Lion.
Oh, okay.
That is left over, like it's like a magical being soul. It's not really its body, like it's just this soulless, like
soulless.
Well, it's still got its own like personality, but I think that like this is something that was like really dear to her heart, and she didn't want to let it go.
Okay. I get what you're saying.
Because I'm actually waiting for like here's the thing with cartoon shows like this that go in depth. There is going to be someone that dies. Like someone has to die. And I don't know who it is.
Austin, it's a kid's show.
It doesn't matter, because here's the difference. Someone can die as long as they're brought back. So I don't know what's going to happen. But I think I might have it, but I don't know. This is all theory. But yeah,
I also do like the fact, and I will say this, I said, Austin, it's a kid's show. And like the whole plot of the kid's show is that Steven's mom killed Diamond.
Like murdered
straight up murders a diamond. Yeah,
I just feel that maybe we're going to see, because now, since how this episode ended, I think that maybe the new season we're going to see one, we're going to actually see Homeworld, because like
that was a pretty
it's
common assumption just because of how this season ended, where it's like we know that the diamonds are finding rose quartz, right? And you have this person who proclaims to be rose quartz, so of course they're going to get shipped away. Like that's just 100% what's going to happen. So I mean, you made basically the same exact.
Well, what's really going to be interesting, and this is what's really funny to me, is Lars, actually, because Lars is stuck on the ship.
Yes.
We don't know his like what really happened, but he's still on the ship. I was like, Lars is still there. So I'm guessing Lars is going to go on a little fun ride. Because in reality, I think I kind of know like what they're probably going to do with him, because like they think he's like rose quartz, but he doesn't remember. So like they're probably going to do something like what most shows I've seen is like they'll put him on trial, or he'll try to explain, or some reason the's like this
kind of like the Q
Machina thing.
the Q conundrum in Star Trek.
Yeah. I just, but it'll be interesting to see what Homeworld is. I like to see it. It's probably going to be like this crazy place. I don't know, and there's probably going to be some weird gems that I'm not going to like. I don't know. We'll see. Because like there's, like how my theory is I really think that there's probably some rebellion in Homeworld, and that's usually how that is. Like, when they're suppressed, there's like some type of rebellion or something like that. But yeah,
and that's like kind of like what they were kind of bringing up through the whole thing. Like even Peridot was like, yeah, we are like subjugated to these diamonds, right? We love our diamonds. But then whenever like something comes along that kind of like questions it, that fealty's broken relatively quickly. It's not like a parental bond connection like people thought it was. It's much more of like, oh, they're just these perfect beings in the eyes of the diamonds, and that's why they think that way. So no, I find it interesting. I mean, this is season 4. We're going on season 5. Season 5 is the end of Steven Universe. So you're going to get almost all your questions answered. it's funny to me because you're going to get the answers like relatively quickly, right? I remember watching this season and being like, it's been so long since the last Steven Universe episode. When are they going to release? And they kept doing the like 10 episode release, waiting like 3 months or something like that. And I just remember being like, it's been so long. Like, this has been dragging on. We just want to know. And you just get to skip right to it. And that's fantastic. Because more power to that, you know?
Well, you know, we talked about this before. And here, remember last week when I talked about how I felt that these episodes should have ended a certain way?
Yeah.
This season is exactly how I wanted it to end, where it left like this excitement for season 5 and like what's going to happen. But now I'm actually on your side with it, where I actually don't want it to end like that, because I'm like, actually in reality, I kind of like, you know, but if I was someone that was a viewer that was watching this when it first came out, that's before we were talking all that, I'd be exactly how I felt before, where I was like, yeah, but now I'd be like, no, I don't want a cliffhanger episode until next season. But there is also, you know, a conundrum for the people that are viewing our podcast. Season 5 is not on Hulu.
No.
It is on HBO Max or Max.
Yep.
So we have to start watching it on Max.
Yeah, which isn't terrible, but it is something.
Yeah, and it also has, I was going to say, what was it? They have the movie 2 and Future there. And they have a sing-along. I didn't know that.
I don't know about the sing-along. I think that's just literal just episodes.
It's a movie. It's the movie, but it's the movie,
but they add the lyrics into it. Oh my gosh. Yeah. That is one quick thing I will say about season 5. Season 5 has one of the most grounding episodes of it with the music, and that's the diamond music. And I remember when What's the Point of Feeling Blue came out. That's the song that Yellow sings to Blue. The Yellow Diamond person is a famous opera singer. And here's the fun fact, right? The person who voices Pearl, she was an opera singer. And when she found out that the person who voices Yellow Diamond, because I watched a interview that they did with her, when she found out that she was going to voice Yellow Diamond, she freaked out because it was like her, like, who she always wanted to like meet. And they're like, not only do you get to meet this person, you get to sing with this person, because all the pearls are voiced by that voice actress. And so in that scene where you have Yellow Diamond and Blue Diamond singing, or I think it's just Yellow Diamond singing, you have the two pearls who also go and they do the melody. And I just remember like watching the video and she's like, that was a dream come true. And I also remember Rebecca Sugar talking about that song, and she's like, we want to make the diamond music to sound nearly otherworldly. And that's what they did with it, and that's why it has like the weird, I call it like, I don't know the actual term, but there's like some form of like tune for it, because it's like synth music, but it's not like, I think it's like dark synth or like reverse synth. I don't know, there's a term for it. But when you listen, if you listen to the musical notes of it, it all sounds like mechanical, and it's weird. And I remember singing that song and just being so mind blown, because like the concept is like, it begins with Yellow being like, what's the point of being sad, is basically what she's saying. Like, what's the point of being blue? Don't you rather destroy everything, get rid of that planet, move on? And then the thing that always gets me in that song is whenever she's like, don't you know I miss her too? And in it, her voice cracks and you can tell she's starting to cry. And I just remember like that always like kind of like tears me up, because it's like the idea you realize, and this is the thing that you realize at this point, and this is why I love Steven Universe, is that Yellow doesn't want the cluster as a weapon. She wants the Earth gone. She wants to move on. She wants to be gone from it, because she still holds on to her sister that died. What?
You're spoiling.
No, that's not. We know that for a fact.
I know. I'm just messing.
Yeah, because we know that like Yellow wants her cluster.
Yeah.
And she even says in that episode, she's like, I don't care about Earth. I don't care about stuff. I want my cluster and I want that planet gone. That's what she says to Peridot in that episode.
Yeah.
And then this episode, she even says, like, wouldn't you rather, like, what's the point of being blue? Like, remove it, go away, move on. Like, we need to move on. What's the point of being sad? Is what she's saying that whole song. And that's whenever everyone like connects the dots. It's just like Yellow still, like, Blue is obviously a wreck still for her sister. Yellow is trying to be like the stronger sister who's like, look, we miss our sister, we loved her, we have to move on, and the only way we can move on is by destroying all this stuff. But because they're like a diamond, I don't know, like hierarchy connection thing, Blue has sovereignty over the Earth apparently, and she's not letting it be. There's so many like little nuances that you find out through that episode alone, and just that short interaction between them. That you mentioned theory bait. Oh boy, that caused more theory baits. So many. Oh my gosh, this show's just great for it, and I can't wait to like just talk more about like theory crafting and theory thoughts later, and we'll also get to see all the things done for this thing. For season 5 is coming up next. Austin,
the end of Steven Universe.
The end of Steven Universe. Here's the thing though. So we get Steven Universe 5, right? We have a movie and Steven Universe Future, which is, I call it like the victory lap of Steven Universe. It's like a time skip kind of deal thing. I say we just combine the two, the movie and the show together. Yeah,
that's what I was thinking.
Even though there's so much you can pull from the movie, there's so much you can pull from Future. We can just combine it and then just do it. And then if you even want to, Austin, we can just do a watch along of the movie, because that movie's a banger. there's songs from that thing that I listen to, and it's like the whole series of Steven Universe like wells up and just like breaks me down every time. But we'll get there. Next week is Steven Universe season 5. Austin, I think that does it for this episode.
Yeah.
We're pretty over par talking about it. Probably wouldn't have been as long if you, I don't know, if like we didn't talk about Sciatica for the first like 10 minutes and then you went away to go to the restroom. But hey, that's how life is. That's how everything goes. Austin, I appreciate you joining me for this episode of Steven Universe. Bros and Shows is what I meant to say, not Steven Universe. And thank you so much, everyone out there. Thank you so much for stopping by, and I'll thank you so much. Tune in.